Okay, I've got a 5-part section here, kind of. The first 3 sections are done just like a 5-part section. In the back, I sectioned it a little bit differently for the state board cut, just because you're only sectioning, you're going to be cutting the nape with a razor. So what I have you do is section almost at the tip of the ear. Don't go as high as the tip of the ear, there's no need to. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to section this bottom section in half. And I'm just going to clip this little itty bitty section. I'm going to clip it up for now. Now on the state board exam, you have to take about 1 inch off. I don't want to take this mannequin too much shorter. It's about 5 inches now, so I kind of want to keep it where it is. But for state boards, you need to take 1 inch off. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my razor, I'm going to take the center section, I'm going to pull this down, I'm going to put my razor behind my finger, and I'm just going to take that off. Then I'm going to move to this side, take that off, move all the way over, and take that off. And then I'm going to move over here. And I'm taking this all at a 0 degree. So you got to make sure that hair comes all the way down straight. Now I'm going to take this section down, and I have to pull this out. So I'm going to pull this out. As soon as my guide drops down, I'm going to go behind my finger, and I'm just going to take that section off. Then I'm going to take another vertical section, take a little bit of what I had before so I have a guide there. The bottom drops, that's my guide, and that's when I trim it. And as I move out to either side, I have to move this section out. So this section is going to come out like this. And then I'm going to move over to this side, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull this out. And then pull this straight out this way. And this is kind of hard for me to, I don't want to be leaning over the station, so there might be situations where you have to move the mannequin's head a little bit so that you can get that cut done. Alright, so now we're done with the razor. Razor's done. Put it down, pick my shears up. Now I'm going to take all this hair. Now remember, we sectioned all the way up to the ear. So you don't need to pull any more of this hair out down here. What we're going to do is we're just going to section the center of this section, and it can be kind of big. I want you to complete the haircut in the time that you have. So when we go down here, like I said, I don't need too much of this hair in my hands because the guide we section up by the ears. So I'm going to pull this out. When I see my guide, I know that's where I'm cutting. And I took about a 1/2 inch off. So I'm going to go and snip, snip, and work my way up. And if you look, this is going to be pulled out as a 90. As the head turns, you can tell by the comb, that's where you got to pull the hair up. So as you move up this section, you're going to keep lifting that hair up some. Snip, snip. Now, this whole center section's done. Now I'm going to move to this side section right here, and I'm just going to kind of section it right in half. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this. And I can pull some of this hair in if I need to. I see my guide, snip, snip. Snip, snip. Snip. And then the same thing. So here I was in the center. Here I moved the comb over. It goes up, and then when I move over to this side, I should be pulling this hair straight out this way. There's my guide. Snip, snip. Snip. And then we're going to do the same thing over on this section. And I got to move it. So here I have this section here. I'm going to section this right in half. And I can take a little bit of this just to have a guide there with me. Here's my guide from the bottom. Snip, snip. Snip, snip. Snip, snip. And then we'll have to turn this because We went from the center, we went to the side, and when we go to this side, we're going to be pulling this straight out again. Alright, so the back is done. Back is all done. Now, I measured this. It was about 5 inches. And it's still a little bit like 5 inches. So for the sides, what you're going to do is you're going to take this section, just a little bit. And you can do a couple things. You can take this section right here to help with your guide. And if you need to, check to make sure the length. The length is about 5 inches. So you can either use this hair as your guide, this piece, or you can even put your comb up underneath here and measure it. There's my guide right here. So I'm just going to go snip, snip, snip. So then I have this side section here that's left. All I'm going to do is take a vertical section that big piece right in half. I'm going to take the piece of this. I can even take some of this back if I want. Some of the hair from the back. I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to trim it. I'm going to take my guide and I'm going to trim it. Now when you start with the side section, the hair's pulled straight out and then you start moving up as you go. So here's this section. I'm going to pull it out. There's my guide. Snip, snip. And then as I move up, I got to angle this up. I can't continue pulling this out straight. It needs to go up. And that's done. We're going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to take this bottom section down, clip this up. We're going to take this little section here. Let's make sure it's 5. It's 5. Pull this down. Snip, snip. Snip, snip. Take this section down. Section that big section in half. And we're going to pull this out. There's my guide. Snip, snip. Pull it up. Make sure you kind of go. You have to move this out. When you move it up, when you move up the section, you got to make sure you pull the hair up. And then what I want to do is I really want to put her in front of the mirror and have her face in the mirror, and I want you to take these 2 side sections at the very bottom, just kind of pull it down and make sure they're even, and they are. And you should be able to do it standing behind her. Take those 2 sections, pull them down, and check to make sure. Now the only thing that's left is the top. Everything else is done. Now the top section, we're just going to take a section up here. We're going to hold all of it, but we're going to tilt it over some. And there's my guide. Snip, snip. Then hold it straight up. You see the guide. Snip, snip. And now tilt this over this way. Snip, snip. Done. Take another section, move up, do the same thing. Tilt it over, snip, snip. Pull it up, snip, snip. And pull it over to this side. Done. Now for the front, as you're moving up the front, the very front kind of tilts forward a little bit. So you got to make sure you over direct this a teeny bit. Just because of the way the mannequin's hair's on the mannequin's head. There you go. Now, you're done. But I want you to go in and check your T section. Your T section is just about a 1-inch section from the center to the nape, and then from ear to ear, just like your 4-part section is. So let's pretend there's a 4-part section in here. You're just going to take that parting, pull this up, and double check, and make sure you don't see any points. And points are just small places where the hair may seem teeny bit longer or shorter. And then go over here, back behind her ear. You're going to pull this section out. You're going to pull it straight out. Make sure you didn't miss anything. Pull it straight up. And then take this section here. Pull that up. I don't see any hair sticking out. We're done. There she is. She's finished. There you go, ladies. All done.